I'm Earl Stewart. I welcome you to Earl Stewart on Cars, a live talk show all about how to buy, lease, maintain, or repair your car without being ripped off by a car dealer. With me in the studio is Nancy Stewart, my wife, co-host, and a strong consumer advocate, especially for our female listeners. We also have Rick Kearney, an expert on how to keep your car running right. I dare you to ask a question that Rick can't answer about the mechanics or electronics of your car. Also with us is my son, Stu Stewart, our link to cyberspace through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Periscope. Stu is also the Spymaster Director of our Mystery Shopping Report. He dispatches our secret shopper weekly to an unsuspecting South Florida dealership. And now, on with the show. Good morning. This is Earl, the recovering car dealer in person. You heard my recorded voice in the introduction. And I'm here with a group of, I guess we could call ourselves automobile experts. We are in certain facets of that industry, retail mainly, repairing, maintaining, servicing cars, leasing and buying. And I am a recovering car dealer. I am in full disclosure, a current car dealer. I have a Toyota dealership. But I want to assure all of you listening, especially the new listeners, the ones that have been regulars for many years now, know this. This is not an infomercial in any way, shape, or form. This is truly a consumer advocacy show. We are your advocates as buyers and leasors of cars, maintainers and repairers of cars, if that's a word. And we try to help you navigate that minefield called car dealerships all over the world. I used to think that the car dealership problem was only in, well, I guess I started out thinking it was only in South Florida. Then it seemed like it was Florida, then the United States. But I asked a few questions, and I've done a little study, and retailing cars is a problem worldwide, with a few exceptions. Therefore, and another justification for the show, if I need a justification, is the fact that the Gallup annual poll on honesty and ethics in professions, Gallup, the most respected polling organization in the world, Gallup, every year since 1977, they've been doing a poll of the United States car buyers. Well, not just car buyers, the United States consumers. And they found out that the car buyers rank car dealers the lowest in honesty and ethics. Out of all the different professions and businesses and retail offerings that you have, when you're buying a car, you consider car dealers almost always last, sometimes next to last, sometimes a couple pops up from last. Nurses are number one. I mean, you can understand that. What's not to love about nurses? So here we are to help you. And it isn't all about buying and leasing cars. I've got Rick Kearney in the studio with me. And Rick is going on vacation for a little while. He'll be gone next Saturday, but he'll be back the following Saturday. So you folks out there that have a question on the mechanics, and I use that word carefully because it's more the electronics or the computerization of how a car operates. If you're having a little problem with your car, making a funny noise, rattle, shake, or maybe you had it into a repair shop and they charged you too much money, or maybe you're thinking about taking it to a repair shop and you're afraid they're going to charge you too much money. If you have any questions about the operation of your vehicle, truck, van, or car, Rick Kearney can answer for you. He is a certified master diagnostic technician, and that requires a lot of schooling. He's been doing it for over 25 years, so experiences with him. He started out as a kid. He used to take cars apart and put them back together when he was a kid, and he is going to school all the time. A lot of online training. The technology in cars, you've probably noticed, if you bought a car in the past couple of years, you've noticed the quantum leap in technology. Well, that quantum leap in technology continues, so Rick really has to stay on top of it. So here we are, available by multiple channels. 877-960-9960 is the old-fashioned channel. That's a telephone. Remember telephones? 877-960-9960. And texting, which in my mind has replaced the telephone. I always text somebody if I can if I can, rather than call. Calling is invasive, so on and so forth. We don't consider it invasive on this show because we love to hear your voice. There's something personal about it, and we would prefer a call. But we have the text line for folks that are a little shy, and that text line is area code 772-497-6530. That's I gotta look up at that camera. Oh.
So you're seeing just the top of your head.
Yeah, we're in a new studio, and and I keep forgetting that we're visual and we're streaming, and that's what I was going to get into. The text number is 772-497-6530, and we usually get more text than anything else, and it's very helpful to have that as a backlog, because sometimes we'll hit a void in the show where the calls don't come in. We can always go back to the text. And Facebook. That's right. We're streaming Facebook Loud. I can wave now, and you can see my beautiful face and my muscles. And I'm quite a striking figure. I'm not. I'm an old guy, but I like to think I am. I think of myself as being 26 years old in my mind's eye. So we're streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on YouTube. We're streaming on Periscope. We're streaming on Twitter. It's got them all.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time when I couldn't remember all those, but that's what we're doing.
It's just natural now.
We're high tech. Yeah. So I think I've covered everything. I got Stu Stewart. I got Nancy Stewart. Stu Stewart is my son. He's a general manager of my Toyota dealership, and he's been in business, 15, 20 years?
23 years.
23. Holy mackerel. Time flies when you're having a good time.
Yep.
Yeah, you are 23 years older. That's right.
That's right, yeah. I'm all gray now.
And Nancy Stewart, she's my co-host. She started with me. It was just me and Nancy at first, and this was like 16, 17 years ago, right in this physical location. It was a radio station owned by somebody else, and we've been doing it together for all that time. She is kind of like our female advocate, and we are trying to build an audience, and she's done a great job, by the way, of building an audience of female listeners. There's something about cars used to be a guy thing, cars, macho trucks, but females buy most of them. I think it's over half.
Yep.
They also influence a lot more purchases that they don't make, and they drive half the cars. I think they bring them in for service at least as much, maybe more often. So Nancy Stewart is our co-host. And hey, tell them about the little special prize we have for new female callers.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We've got quite a talented group here, and I'm losing my microphone. I'd like to let the ladies know that the first two new lady callers, you can win yourself $50 this morning. And this time of year, well, that'll come in handy. So give us a call, say hello, or if you have a question, feel free to ask. 877-960-9960. And remember that text number, 772-497-6530. And also remember that you can remain anonymous, and you can ask us all kinds of questions and remain anonymous. So www.anonymousfeedback.com. Back to the recovering car dealer. www.youranonymousfeedback.com. For some reason, people like that. We like it because it gives your feedback. Some people just want to remain anonymous. And I think we have some that have come in, maybe some text also. You want to get started, Stu?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Excuse me, guys. We're going to go to Ron, who's been holding from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Ron.
Hello, Ron. Sorry that you had to hold so long. Are you still with us? What's on your mind?
Yeah.
That's a great question, Stu. What do you think?
I mean, I've thought about that a lot, because when you have the option to turn off the automatic headlights. So, and if you do that, and you forget, then you could risk driving down the road at night without the headlights on. Why I don't understand why they don't just come on. There's a light sensor that they can use. I don't think it's an expensive thing. It's something that should be just the default condition of the car. Lights are on when it's dark.
Ron, I think you've hit on something important, and I'm ashamed to admit I never thought about it. Stu did. Why should it be optional to have your lights on at night? It should be mandatory to have your lights on at night.
Unless you're like following somebody down a country road, like you're like doing something.
Or unless you're a crook and you're trying to burglarize a home.
Or a private investigator.
Of course. Ron, do you have any thought on that?
Yeah, you know what?
I mean, Rick, do you have any thought on Ron's comment?
I'm just wondering how we got so creepy and dark so quickly. But my opinion on the headlights, well, following country roads, my opinion on headlights is I think they should be designed to where headlights and taillights are on all the time while the vehicle is in motion at the minimum, if not all the time when the engine is running, especially since we're in South Florida, but other areas of the country and the world as well get areas of lots of rain, and your headlights should be on in the rain. You should have your taillights on all the time in the rain and at night. And you'll see a lot of cars with their daytime running lights on, which means their headlights are on at about half power, but with no taillights.
By golly, I think you've got something. Ron, thank you. What do you think about the discussion so far? You still with us, Ron?
Ron, if you're listening, to add my 2 cents to it, you know, with all the distractions today, with these drivers that are on the road, I agree with Rick. That's exactly, he's right on point. And again, there's so many distractions. I've not only seen people on the road at night with no lights on, but during the day, so they should be on all the time. I hope we answered your question, Ron. I see that your line is freed up, so we're going to go to Mimi, who's calling us from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Mimi.
Good morning. I enjoy your program very much when I get a chance to listen.
Thank you, Mimi. Are you a first-time caller?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Please text me your information. That's your contact information so that I can mail you a check for $50 for being a first-time caller.
And that text number is?
Really nice. Can I do it any other way?
What would you like us? How would you like us to receive it?
Yeah, how about you could call the number, couldn't you, Stu, and leave a voicemail message?
Or you could try youranonymousfeedback.com.
Well, how are we going to know where she'd give us a contact info?
Or Mimi, if you want to give me a call, you can call me on my cell phone. Do you have a pen?
Yes.
Okay, 561-386-6498. That'll come directly to me, and I'll get that check out for you.
9.
Okay.
Give her that number again, just in case she didn't write it down fast enough.
Pardon me?
No, I got it.
You got it?
Good.
Okay. What can we do for you?
Well, 2 questions. One is, I belong to Sam's Club, and I notice they have car deals. And I know you speak a lot about Costco, and I wondered, do you feel that Costco is more reliable?
We believe Costco is more reliable, and this came up a couple of weeks ago, and Stu reminded me that we were members of the Sam's Club program.
Yeah.
We seem to, Stu, you probably can give the specifics on that.
Well, there's not a whole lot of controls put on the dealers in the Sam's Club program compared to Costco. Costco, there are strict pricing rules, strict procedure rules. That doesn't mean that the dealers follow them that well. We check them out periodically with mystery shopping reports. But overall, when the dealers that are adhering to the program, you'll get a better deal with less risk of getting surprised with just typical car dealer nonsense. But Sam's Club, it was basically you posted your price. There wasn't any follow-up checkup by the program. It was kind of up to the dealers to police themselves.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. The second question is, we have a van, and it's a converted van for a wheelchair. It has, it's a Dodge Caravan, and it has 2 batteries. So there's a switch where you can have both batteries working or just one battery.
Mm-hmm.
So when I push the switch up, the red light goes on, and that makes me feel that I should leave it down. Is anyone familiar with conversion vans with 2 batteries?
Rick, are you?
I really haven't had a whole lot of experience with them, but I'm guessing that the way this system is set up is they probably simply put in an illuminated switch. But I would actually want to have you contact the manufacturer or look for some sort of an owner's manual to try to find out for sure just where you'd want to have that set. Of the people that did the conversion. Alternatively, there is a place on 10th Avenue down by I-95. It's right across from the Ford dealership there.
I went there.
Right.
I went there. You said, I should ask them.
Right. That's what I was thinking. They would probably, I'm sure their folks there do those conversions, so I'm sure they would be able to give you better advice on what way to leave that switch and how that system will work for you.
Oh, thank you. Another thing is we went away and left it in a parking garage for 9 days. Mm-hmm. And when we came back, it was both batteries were dead.
Oh.
And now, I had the switch up, probably by mistake. I probably hit it with my leg or something because we bought it. We're not the first owners or the second owners. I think we're the third. The owner's manual has been destroyed already by someone. So it has, and also the design of it doesn't have like it doesn't have a place for your feet like the Ford Expedition did, and so that's probably why I hit the little switch thing. But I was wondering when I got in the car after someone came with huge cables, but it had to be huge ones. My service had little cables and that didn't work, but the huge ones did start the car. I ran it 2 hours back to West Palm Beach. And then I had the batteries checked, and they said they were just fine. So, because I was going to replace them, I thought maybe they were dead. But they said they were fine. We had charged them.
Yeah, so, quite often batteries can come back from something like that. But when you go to the mobility place, I would ask them to check and see if there's any sort of what's called a parasitic draw, that something that's left on that is staying on that might be draining those batteries. Or with that setup, they may actually have a position that switch should be in that they'll tell you about, where it would keep things from drawing those batteries down when the vehicle sits for several days.
Oh, okay, then I won't have to because I was even thinking if this happens again, I'm going to disconnect like all the negatives or something. But, okay, I wrote that down. Thank you very much.
Well, Mimi, if that doesn't work and you have any other questions, please call us next week, and we'd like to hear from you again anyway, because we don't get enough female callers. And
okay.
And your $50 check will be in the mail, right, Nancy?
That's correct. And again, as Earl said, thank you for calling. What we're trying to do here is build a platform for the ladies. They are a big part of the auto industry. So, Mimi, spread the word and send me your contact information, and I'll get the check out to you.
That was 561-386-6498?
That's correct.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a wonderful day.
Give us a call toll-free at 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go to Tina, who's been holding for a while. Thanks for your patience, Tina.
Tina Bonita.
Hi, how are you guys doing this morning?
Hey, Tina.
What's up, Tina?
Well, I don't mean to make a pun. I apologize that the Staccato airbag thing has blown up to epic proportions.
I appreciate it.
I know. I didn't mean to do that, but it's the only way I know how to say it. BMW and Toyota, and I forget who else, 1.4 million more vehicles are being recalled.
Yeah.
And the direction from the manufacturers is stop driving these vehicles.
It is. It's amazing. I saw a bulletin from the Florida Automobile Dealers Association. In fact, it was on my Facebook page the other day, and the bulletin goes out to all the dealers in Florida. And the president of the association, Ted Smith, is saying that the federal government is trying to make it illegal to sell cars with dangerous recalls. And we're keeping our eye on this situation. And I'm thinking to myself, what is to keep the eye on the situation? They want to make it illegal to sell cars that can kill you. And of course, the car dealers are becoming, it was encouraging to me in a way because at least they're starting to realize that it is so absurd that it is legal to sell cars with dangerous recalls. To make a law to make it illegal is the most logical thing in the world. But it's we're losing ground, right, Tina? You're telling us now that there are more cars being pumped out into the public with dangerous recalls than are being fixed. It's a losing battle.
But you know what? There's an upside to this because we talk a lot about, especially used car lots and used car dealerships that are, for the most part, not very transparent, not very honest. Maybe it'll put a lot of the bad guys out of business. At least that's what I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what the Florida Automobile Dealers Association and National Automobile Dealers Association are afraid of. They think it's going to have a huge economic impact, and I don't see that either. What kind of an economic impact? First of all, virtually all of the cars now have a fix available. Every now and then you find a car without a Takata airbag fix available, but 99% of all dangerous recalls have a fix. All you have to do, it might take a day, take the car to the manufacturer's dealer's location. They fix it. They get paid for it. You bring it back and you sell the car. So it isn't going to have an economic impact. All you have to do is get the car fixed. You have to recondition the car. You have to wash the car, wax the car, change the tires. There's always reconditioning to do on used cars. It is one additional piece of reconditioning that can save a customer's life. And they're saying this is a hardship, economic hardship. That's absurd.
Well, I think to a smaller car lot, I mean, maybe not to a big car dealership, but to a smaller car lot that strictly deals in used cars, it could be, but I'm not really sure about that. You'd know way more about that than I would, that's for sure.
Well, it could be. It could be a little bit of a delay in sale of a car, that's all.
Okay, so are you saying basically that it would be a nominal cost to the dealer?
Yeah, it'd be a nominal cost to the dealer. And in a lot of ways, it'll be revenue for the dealers because all the dealers that are fixing the cars that have the recalls get paid quite handsomely. If you get once you do multiple recalls, a technician, Rick will correct me if I'm wrong on this, but when a technician does an operation for the first time, it takes him a longer time. He's learning the process. And when he does the same operation 25 times, he can usually do it so fast that he can sometimes double his pay because he gets paid the same thing for fixing it, whether he spends an hour or half an hour. So technicians actually make good money. The dealers make good money. And all they're doing is the people that don't make the good money are the manufacturers because they have to pay out of pocket. They're the only losers, if you want to call it an economic thing. The only ones that lose are the manufacturers.
Okay, so it's not as dire of a situation as I thought. And like I mentioned a few weeks ago, for young people that are looking for a career, good technicians are needed. And if you don't want to go to college, maybe being an auto technician or a computer auto technician is something to consider.
Absolutely. I mean, Rick, you know more about this than I do, but we're always looking for good technicians, and there's just very, very few available.
We can't find enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, Tina, to find a competent, honest technician today, and for what do you call them? Science, Earl. Science computer guys, or do you just refer
computer
to
scientists, auto computer scientists?
Yeah, it's just it's an amazing career, and we need more of them. Like I said, competent and honest. So good point.
And we need some ladies, Tina. We need female mechanics, just like anything else. They can do it just as well as males. And if you look at 1,000 technicians today, you'll find maybe one female. And they're not entering the trade. It's a great business.
I can classify them in with finding a good doctor. That's how I feel about Rick and what he does. He does a fantastic job, and he really stays up on the latest technology, that's for sure. Tina, thank you so much for the phone call.
Oh, thank you. And I'm so glad that Mimi called earlier, so shout out to Mimi. We need more Mimis in the world.
Yes, thank you.
And ladies, Nancy and I can't do this by ourselves, so please call in.
Definitely. I think Stu has something to say to you.
Oh yeah, just on the Takata thing with Toyota. So we got a notice back in early November. So when the first wave of recalls went out, there was a bunch of cars that going up to the 2016 4Runners. I think was the most recent car, and they had to fix them with other Takata airbags. So these are coming back for the second phase. Now they have non-Takatas to fix them. So this was that was just a temporary fix, and now they got to come back in and get fixed again.
And the worst part about that, when that temporary fix, knowing that statistically only 1 in 4 will come back and get fixed after they put them out.
Yeah, I'm not defending them. I just what else could they do? I'm like, they got to put something in the car. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or they could just make it illegal to sell.
That's true.
Tina, have a great weekend. Always
Thanks.
Always
Thanks,
nice
y'all. Have a
hearing
good
from
one.
you. Okay,
Thank you.
877-960-9960. Our lines are lit up. It's an amazing Saturday.
Real quick before you jump to them, I've gotten some messages from listeners who are saying that on trueoldies.com or streamearloncars.com, they're hearing Christmas music. Apparently, we're not streaming online, so the best way to hear us online, and obviously if you can't hear us, then you're not going to, message is going to the wrong people, but you can listen on facebook.com/Earl on Cars. If you don't have a Facebook account, then you can go onto youtube.com/Earl on Cars, and you can listen to it.
And of course, you can hear us in the studio, and if we can ask why we are not having.
I've already communicated that with the studio. Yes.
Okay, our internet advisor is right on top of it as usual. Okay, we're going to go to Leonard, and I want to thank Howard for holding. We'll get to you in a moment. Good morning, Leonard. Leonard's calling us from Green Acres.
Hello.
Hey, Leonard.
Yes, I'd like some advice. I'm about ready to purchase a car, and on Earl's advice, I called up Costco. I got my authorization number, and then I went to my credit union, and they authorized me to purchase. However, the lady there said to me, "We'd like you to use our buying service, and if you do, I will cut your interest rates by 0.25%." So I'm ready to purchase, but I don't know which service to use, the Costco one or the buying service from the credit union.
Well, I think Leonard, that's a good position because get your Costco price, and if your credit union will match that, then you can have your cake and eat it too. But be sure they can match the Costco price, and you're on your way to. Be sure you get your Costco representative that you're dealing with. That should have been listed on the dealership site when you were listing your zip code and and what type of make car you want to buy, and be sure that you get your Costco price that's on the price sheet, and that any dealer fees or dealer installed accessories are also listed, so that you know what their full price is. Then take that price to the credit union and say, okay, meet it or beat it, and we got a deal.
Thank you so much, Earl.
Well, thanks for the call, Leonard.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Leonard. Give us a call again.
Love doing good.
Excuse me. We're going to go straight to Howard. Thank you for holding, Howard.
Hey, Howard.
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, it's been a long
good
time.
morning to you all. Apropos of what that gentleman just said, remember Cy, who used to be on the program with me?
Well, of course.
Well, anyway, he checked. He got the price from Costco. He went to his credit union, and they laughed at him. They said there's no way they could meet the price for Costco, and they were way off. So I just throwing that out. Don't expect the credit union to meet the price.
Howard, I'm glad. Can I say I'm glad you said that, because I always tout credit unions, and I always have touted. As a matter of fact, I recommend them instead of banks. But we do know that there's corruption everywhere. There is corruption in credit unions, and we even encountered this where credit unions are on the take with salespeople, with dealerships, and so you have to be careful. It's a shame. I mean, I could say you could be safe in church, but you're not even safe in church. No. So there's corruption everywhere. You got to be.
Yeah, there's always at a dealership. I got a guy at the credit union. Somebody's got a guy.
Yeah.
The guy at the credit union, and there's a kickback thing going on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I agree with you 100%. I know. getting off the topic, going back onto the airbags. I have a friend that is an engineer for NASA, and he said that after 10 years, all airbags are suspect as far as the capability of functioning correctly. Is he correct?
You know, there is, I talked to Alan Napier, our collision manager, about that, and everything has a shelf life, right? I mean, if it's not 10 years, it's 20, but I mean, there's a shelf life, and I'm not sure what that is. We need to Google that, or we need to, because there are a lot of cars out there on the road, 15, 20, 30 years old. What about the airbags? That's an excellent question. Rick, do you have a thought on it?
The only thing that I've ever seen from Toyota, which would be an official statement from them, is that they say that at 10 years they should be inspected. Now, what that actually means, they don't really tell us. So the only thing that we really can do is maybe a visual inspection and a scan tool.
It's
and
funny,
there's really nothing else.
Yeah, I'm looking on I Googled it. Auto Trader has an article on it. It says about 15 to 20 years, but it says the same thing. It says at 15 years, have it inspected to see if it's working properly. So
how do you, if you don't know, Rick, that makes me nervous, because if they say inspect it, I'm going to inspect this pen right now. I'm expecting the pen.
Looks good to me.
But what does that mean?
Looks great. Well, you run it into a wall.
To me, the only way to inspect an airbag to see if it's working would be to deploy it, to detonate it.
Then you got to buy a new airbag.
All right, it's
Howard. Another great question. Now, all the people out there in the world listening to this radio broadcast and this stream, manufacturers, if you're going to ask somebody to inspect something, you need to tell them how to inspect it. I don't believe that visually there's any way. I think Rick just said this. Visually, there's no way to tell if an airbag. It sounds to me like it's a way to get you off the hook liability-wise. CYA. Hey, tell the consumer to have it inspected. And then if it doesn't work, say, well, you didn't have it inspected right, but nobody ever told anybody how to inspect it.
Rick, on the other side of the coin here, could it be possible in the future to inspect a Takata airbag, the detail of it, the technical, the mechanical, without deploying it like you said? Can this become something of the future?
I don't know. Computer models.
No, there is no way.
I don't think there is.
I think that's okay now, because at the very end of the Auto Trader article, it says our suggestion is not to worry. So we can move on. Just kidding. That's what it says. Don't worry. It says if your car's manufactured in the mid to late 90s or later, we suspect your airbags will continue to keep you safe.
Easy for you to say, because you're not driving an old car.
Right.
Yeah. I think this is an issue, and it's an issue. I hate to say it, because I believe in minimal government interference. But if there ever was a job for the federal government,
mandatory replacement,
or a viable inspection method.
In our nuclear arsenal, they don't blow up bombs anymore, and that's what an airbag is. They run expensive computer modeling simulations to see if the nuclear weapons still explode.
Yeah.
We can't do that with airbags, so we got to replace them.
Got to replace them. Okay, there we go. Another one for the regulators and the federal government and the state governments.
How much does it cost to replace them, Rick? Can you tell us? Probably a lot.
I would say on the average vehicle, it's going to run probably $1,200 to $1,500.
Yeah, that's about right.
Or more, and that would be on older vehicles. Newer vehicles like Earl, you're driving a Lexus LS 500, and I believe your car has something in the neighborhood of 13 different airbags.
Mm-hmm.
So take that 1,200 and probably multiply it by 4 or 5.
And you can see why they don't tell you the truth about this, because it's impossible to do that. So now you have the dilemma of our government regulating the sale of products, knowing that this product can last 20 years, but in 20 years the airbag may not work, and then they can require the airbag to be replaced, but who's driving a 20-year-old car that's going to be able to afford it?
I don't know. I got a guy, Joe, who just texted us. He says, I keep a 1998 mint condition BMW convertible as my Florida car. Is the airbag, because of its age, dangerous?
No.
The answer is we don't know.
The answer
And we
is
can't find out.
the answer is it could be dangerous, and we don't know it because information. There's not been any study. It's been ignored, and thanks to Howard's question and your comment, this is something the regulators and the legislators should do, along with a whole bunch of other stuff that they don't do because they're too busy lying to us to get elected.
Exactly. Everything's so vague.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know, is it the wave of the future where this will be brought, you know, to the forefront? And
Don't know.
you know, I mean, they're not taking the recalls seriously.
Good
so
stuff, Howard. Good stuff.
Here
Thank
we
you.
are.
One other thing before I go. My nephew has a Cobalt. I think it's
Chevy.
1985. It has only one airbag on the driver's side. I told him to get rid of the car, and he refuses to do it. That should be dangerous. 1985 Cobalt with one airbag on the driver's side. And why didn't they make the airbag on the passenger side?
That's almost 40
question.
years
Well, why do they make cars without airbags at all? I mean, a lot of it, the dealers were crying bloody murder, and I was crying. You talk about a recovering car dealer. I can remember very well. And I was a Pontiac dealer, and they came out with this ridiculous thing that they had to have airbags. We lobbied against it. The National Automobile Dealers, the Federal Automobile Dealers Association. They're crazy. It's going to drive the price of a car so high, nobody will be able to buy a car. We did the same thing with seatbelts. Yeah. Seatbelts? Are you out of your mind? Nobody's going to strap themselves in a car.
It's going to imply the car is unsafe.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's progress, intelligence, education, and we're finally at the point now where we're educated and aware, and we look back on some of the things that we did a few years ago, and it's insanity.
Well, they should have a system where if you don't put the seatbelt on, the car doesn't start. There's no such thing. Right?
Easy to do, right?
Correct?
Yeah, they should. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and
okay.
Just to speak to the technology of it, that 1985 car, when airbags first were being installed in these cars, there were people that died because of the airbag. And I remember reading of one case in particular where a woman was driving into work on a snowy day. She drove into a deep drift, and the impact caused the airbag to go off, and it struck her in the chest hard enough that it killed her.
Yeah.
And because it was a weekend, they didn't find her until Monday morning. I mean, it was...
Yeah.
But it's the technology has increased now from one airbag on the driver's side to an airbag on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. There's airbags for your knees, airbags for the side of the vehicle, the curtain airbags.
How about the roof?
In the roof, in the seats. For the passengers in the back seat, there are airbags that actually come out behind their knees on some cars to push them back into the seat so that you don't lunge forwards in a crash. There are airbags everywhere.
It's getting to the point where, if you remember the movie, I think it was Judge Dredd, or was it
Demolition Man?
Demolition Man, where
The car turned into a...
Yeah, well, filled with a foam that quickly solidified and, cushioned you from the impact.
Well, not to beat this to death, but there's technology being worked on now where they're going to be using external airbags, and it makes a lot of sense, right? So instead of having yourself inconvenienced and smacked in the face and the chest, when you hit something, the airbag's outside the car, and you're just like in a big giant tennis ball.
And does it protect the body exterior of the vehicle from damage?
I'm not sure.
Well, Alan's not going to like that.
Howard, you really started a firestorm here.
Yeah.
What a great question.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
You too,
Thank you,
Howard.
Come visit
Howard.
again,
Give us
too.
a call again, 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Remember, www.youranonymousfeedback.com. And I know that Stu is raring to
I'm
go.
chomping at the bit, champing at the bit. All right, this is from youranonymousfeedback.com. Good morning. When will Toyota get the dynamic guidelines for the backup cameras? It appears Toyota is one of the few manufacturers which does not offer dynamic guidelines. Thank you, and hope all of you have a good day. Well, thank you. The dynamic guidelines are those computer-generated lines that appear on the screen when you're backing up using a backup camera, and it shows you where your car is and where it's going. Toyota actually does on I think most, if not all, of their models with the backup camera do have guidelines, but there is a whole range of guidelines that are available out there in the industry. Like some There are some that just show where your rear bumper is, so you can see where if you're going to run into something. Some of them, like I mentioned earlier, will show you where your front wheels are going to be going. So if you're backing out of a parking space, you can avoid swinging the wheel too far one way or another and hitting the car next to you. So usually you spend more. It's a more expensive car or more expensive option package to get the more extensive guidelines, but most of them have
Yeah,
them.
Lexus has it. That's made by Toyota.
Yeah.
And I think eventually, like you say, it comes down from the luxury cars to the medium price.
Trickles down to us peons eventually. So, yeah. The next one, also on your anonymous feedback. Hello, why does Toyota put Corolla in front of some models when introducing a model? For example, the Corolla Tercel, the Corolla Matrix, and then the Corolla is dropped in later models. I don't know the actual answer to that. I do know that, well, Rick might, but I know like back in the 70s when they came out with the Celica, it became the Celica Supra. And I guess if it's successful, maybe it launches its own standalone model. Don't know.
I think what Toyota does is they started off as like a child of that car. Like the Solara was originally the Camry Solara. Right. The Corolla, which has spawned multiple versions.
Yeah.
And what they do is if that model adjustment of the Corolla, if that version of it starts to take off, they actually make it into its own individual model. So it's just a naming thing.
It's like evolution.
Yep.
Okay, let's move along here.
Next one. I'm not sure if you're all aware, the Toyota Echo was called the Toyota Yaris outside the United States. Thank you. Love the show.
Didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
There's a lot of strange models. When I do travel, Nancy and I sometimes will see Toyotas with strange names, and we'll see Toyotas that we never knew existed because they build models in different countries that you never see in the United States.
Yeah, in China, there's a lot of strange models. Europe and Japan too.
Yeah, we just step back and go, "Wow."
Yeah.
Excuse me, what's your name again?
My name is Stu.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to Doug and Ollie. They've been waiting to speak to us.
Haven't heard from that cat in a long time.
Hey, Doug.
He's a cool cat.
He is.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, guys.
What's up?
Well, I was just going to complain about bad drivers, and I mean, I've never seen it as bad as this.
'Tis
ever.
the season.
Yep.
And, yeah, exactly. But I mean, going on 95 now, I'm literally petrified because of the way people are driving, and because I'm a musician, I travel a lot to the places to perform, and Jim and I are always like, "Oh my God, look at what that guy did! Wait, look at what he's crossing over 5 lanes of traffic."
Yeah.
And these kids on the motorcycles, absolutely insane.
Oh my God, I was just going to say that.
I mean, a couple kids killed in this area. I've seen 2 deaths on motorcycles in the past week, and I see them on these kids on 995. I mean, I have to admit, I speed on 995 because I have to. If I didn't, I'd be hitting the rear. So if I'm going 65 in the 55 zone, these kids on the motorcycles will pass me like I'm standing still. They got to be doing 100 or more.
Oh, absolutely. And then they do that thing where they lift up their bike and put it straight up in the air. And it's like, really? Wow. So everybody be careful. I try to avoid 95, but you can if you're trying to get, south or north.
Sure.
The last few days, I felt like I had a target on me.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I had the other day going to pick up my daughter from dance. 3 times people almost ran into me just not even paying attention.
Yeah.
But, it's good for the economy.
Oh, and then the texting, too. I'm not going to get into that, but I saw this one woman, she was putting makeup on while on 95.
Unbelievable.
And Ollie, when he saw that, he went,
Hey, Doug, did you see that thing that's going around the internet? There is a cat. It's currently the most famous cat video out there now. They call it the country cat because it shows a cat who looks, he's scared of the vacuum cleaner, hides behind a cabinet, and then the camera comes around and the cat sees the camera and goes, "Well, hi." That's what it sounds like.
No, I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, just search Country Cat on YouTube. Ollie will love it.
Well, maybe he just thinks that the vacuum cleaner sucks.
I love a good pun.
You know, Doug, to your point about being on 95 and the woman that you saw putting on makeup, it's just amazing what you can see whenever you're just driving around, not even on 95. Men and women, they're both guilty, and it is just crazy. The only thing that I haven't seen is somebody scrambling eggs when they're behind the wheel and pouring their coffee.
It's funny, I don't see any of those things because I keep my eyes on the road at all times.
Blinders.
Yeah.
Do you?
Okay, don't tell on me. I'm looking at my Google Maps, I confess.
He's got that Google Map going on, I'll tell you what.
Love my Google Map.
And we have a special opening in the back seat where I climb into the trunk, where I think it's
Where you're
somewhat safe.
Exactly. The cocoon. You call it the cocoon.
Yeah, there you go.
Weekend.
Doug, it's always great to hear from you.
Thank you.
Have a
Take
great
care.
weekend.
Bye-bye.
We're going to go straight to Frank, and he's calling us from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Frank. Been a while.
What's up, Frank?
Yo, Frank.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello, I haven't talked to you for a while.
I
Yeah.
know.
What's up?
When you were talking about the high beams and all that, the headlights, my new RAV4 that I got from you guys, I didn't realize it for a few weeks. My high beam is always on when I have on automatic, and it's a great thing. When it senses light, it goes to normal.
I was a little uncomfortable with that feature at first.
No, but it's great.
It is,
gives
yeah.
you better vision.
No, it's great. I'm usually, because I'm thinking, is it really going to turn off in time, or am I going to momentarily blind the oncoming driver?
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. It senses a light coming, and it turns off and on when you need it. It's great.
Yeah, it turns off plenty of time.
Yeah.
I just want to point that out. I think all cars should come like that.
Oh, yeah.
And only automatic. No option to shut it off. If you're going to rob a bank, go buy an old car.
Or put duct tape on the headlights.
That's my comment for today.
Well, thank you, Frank. I think we've had a more productive show, I think, thanks to comments like that, where we're talking to the regulators and legislatures. I hope it's not totally deaf ears, but we talked about some important things. Lights being on all the time. There should be a lifespan of airbags recognized and enforced by law, replacement or a viable inspection. And we've done a lot of good. We maybe we're talking about having a guest on next week's show. Maybe we can have a legislator, somebody, a senator or
Good luck with
representative.
that.
Yeah.
We've
Great
done that
idea.
before. We had Carl Domino came on, a state legislator.
Yeah.
We actually had a debate. It was during an election year. We had a challenger, and it got a little nasty.
Yeah. So all you legislators out there and your regulators, Rick Kearney's going to have a vacation finally. He's going to take some time off, and we thought we could fill Rick's spot in temporarily just for a while with a guest. So how about a legislator out there, somebody in the Florida Senate or the U.S. Senate or Congress or representatives, any kind of even a local
I want
regulator.
the Attorney General here.
Yeah, or the Attorney General. That'd be great.
It would indeed.
And who's that again?
That is Mooney.
Mooney, come on the show.
Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay, thank you so much, Frank. We're going straight to Randy in Toronto.
Oh boy. Hey, Randy.
Welcome back from your holiday.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
I have a question regarding your article, the box, August 26th of this year.
Mm-hmm.
We have a talk show up here in Toronto on Saturdays, roughly the same time. It's put on by a car person who buys time. It's an infomercial, and he uses it to promote whatever dealership he's working at.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he was on one of his shows. He was advertising that if you financed a used car, you would get a 3-night stay
from Toronto to Miami, Orlando, or Las Vegas. Okay, 3 nights airfare from Toronto to one of these cities. And when I tried to call in and question him, how does the dealer make money? Because he's always complaining dealers make no money on car dealers on these deals. I was cut off. So can you explain to me how he's making this profit if you finance any used car purchase?
Yeah, it's he's trying to get you to,
real quick.
Yeah.
He had one, and he had one more with snow tires. If you finance a used car, you'd get free
snow tires.
4 snow tires.
Yeah, he's doing something that P.T. Barnum. There's a sucker born every minute. I think there's a sucker born every 2 seconds because a lot of these incredulous, crazy claims actually bring people in to buy.
Futulo Kia down in over on the west coast of Florida does the same thing, offer cruises with every vehicle purchase.
Yeah, it's just you get these emails out of Nigeria that are so laughable. I even share them on Facebook.
You replied to them,
and I reply. They make these claims that are so absurd that you laugh at it, but you forget if they send out 1 million and they get a 1% return. That's what 1,000 returns. Yeah. And 1,000 people, 1,000 suckers out of 1 million. And you can make money that way. To give a free trip or free snow tires because you finance is because they make an obscene amount of money when they finance their car. Car dealers.
Is that because of the box? If you go back
to
your article, if you go back to your article in August 26th, the box.
That's right.
So what are they hoping for? They're hoping to put you into the box.
Into the box.
They're gonna pound you into the submission. Is that the idea?
Yeah,
pretty much.
That's pretty much it. The average. Let's talk about some facts and figures. There's AutoNation. That's the largest retailer of cars, and I believe, are they in Canada? Are they in Toronto, Brandy? AutoNation.
No.
They're the largest retailer. There's hundreds of dealerships all over the United States, and their single biggest source of profit is the box, is the finance, and the average profit is very close to $2,000, $1,986. Let's call it $2,000. They make $1,000 or less when they sell a car. In fact, AutoNation and a lot of the other dealers are actually breaking even or losing money in their new car departments, and they have to make the money in the finance department in order to survive. So the finance is the single biggest source of revenue to car dealers, and a car dealer would gladly offer you a trip or a snow tire to get you to come in and put you in the box.
Okay. I just want to say that everybody should be reading your articles, Earl. Please tout your articles more. People don't know how much of a resource they are.
Thank you.
Tout the articles. It's a tremendous resource to consumers in Canada and the U.S. Please tout that. Thanks again.
Thank you, Randy. I really appreciate the endorsement, and I'll do that. We don't give it out often enough. EarlOnCars.com. www.earloncars.com. We have how many? Hundreds.
Yeah, you can't even count. We have, let's see, it's almost 2020 now. I think we started the blog in 2005, so it's 15 years worth of articles.
Yeah, 15 years, article every week. EarlOnCars.com. Thank you, Randy, and I appreciate that endorsement very much.
Yes, thank you. We're going to go straight to Ricky in Melbourne. Good morning.
Ricky, don't lose that number.
Hi, Ricky. Can you hear us?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to thank you guys first for doing everything you guys do with all the advice on cars and all.
Thank you.
And I'm glad you guys brought up that Kia store. I love the mystery shopping report. And I'll tell you, that Kia one nearly knocked me out of the chair. When you guys said the only way you get in that buyer's order is in your brand new Kia. So I binge watch those sometimes. But I had a question. I think the last caller might have maybe got it off the top of my head. It was actually about F&I. and I've not really haven't bought a car myself yet, but I did accompany my father on many car purchases, new car purchases, and I've noticed that is one of the most tooth-pulling parts of it when you go to a traditional dealership. And I'm not sure if you guys have already talked about it. I hope it's not a repeat question, but just wanted to see your guys' thoughts on it and how you would improve it, because I speak to a lot of my friends, and just like you guys said, it's very intimidating, and a lot of people tend to have negative stereotypes about dealerships after leaving that process.
Well, yeah, it's to actually go into the car dealership and go through the process requires a lot of study and practice and expertise. I have a blog that I put out just recently. It's in today's. I'll hold this up for the camera. It's today's Florida Weekly, and it's also available at earloncars.com, www.earloncars.com. And it's called My Word Track for No Haggle, No Hassle Car Buying. And if you can read this, and I hesitate to ask you to go into the dealership and try to remember all this. The best way to do it is pick your dealership and then use the email, online conversation. And it gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 steps. I won't read them all to you, but I'll just give you a little hint. It says, "Dear car salesman, within the next 2 weeks, I will be purchasing a new, I'll say Honda, fill in the blank, whatever you say, 2019 Honda Civic. You should carefully research the vehicle that you decide to buy," and I go on like that. But I give it, it's really a tutorial, 8 steps, and if you follow this carefully in a dealership or talking to them on the phone or going online, if you rigidly adhere to this word track for no haggle, no hassle car buying, it can be a pleasant, and you can get a good price, pleasant experience with a good price.
Thank you for that. And if I could ask one follow-up question.
Oh, please, sure.
Since you guys always can be a nice intermediary between the consumer and the dealers, I kind of am a little lost about gap insurance, since it's certainly an add-on when you purchase the car. And would you guys care to explain on the differences of the dealer gap policy compared to the one that maybe your insurance company provides? Because I've read online sometimes they're different.
Well, GAP, it stands for, it's Guaranteed Asset Protection, and it's just an insurance product that protects you in the event that you had your vehicle wrecked and totaled or stolen and not recovered, and it pays the difference between what you owe to the bank if you're financing the vehicle and what the actual value of the car is. So it's a good thing if it's especially if you have a car that appreciates fast or if you didn't put any money down. So the advice that we give for any insurance product is if you feel uncomfortable with the risk, then maybe you should consider it. Some people don't need it at all. There's been a problem recently with GAP being forced on the consumers without them knowing that they're buying it. Most leasing companies, as a matter of fact, if you lease a vehicle, the leasing company puts GAP insurance on it because they own the vehicle and they're trying to protect their asset. But it's a good thing. Typically, it costs between $500, $600. I think it depends on the term. The best thing you can do, and this is kind of like we're beating the drum here, is just get competing quotes. You can call.
Yeah, there are different sources of GAP insurance, and if you put a large down payment or had a trade-in and down payment, and you buy, and especially if you buy a car with a high resale value, all these variables are important, and chances are you wouldn't need GAP insurance if you have a significant trade-in down payment and you buy a high resale value car.
We've had people come to us who bought cars at other dealerships where they had in the box, they sold them every available product they had, including gap insurance where they had a trade-in with 100% equity or a large down payment,
Yeah.
where in a million years they would never run into a scenario where they would need it.
Yeah, one of the very reasons gap insurance isn't required is because those dealers that will add so much to a car that doesn't add value to the car. And if you pay for things like nitrogen in the tires and stripes and other things that do not enhance the value of the car, but you paid for it anyway, when you get ready to get your gap insurance, or you're not, it's not going to,
That's a really good point, because a lot of times banks will not even finance those things. So you might put down a large down payment thinking that you might be protected and having equity in your car, but really your down payment is going to pay for the unnecessary stuff like the tint and the appearance packages that the banks won't finance at all. So you might find out that you're in a negative equity situation down the road.
No, thank you guys for answering all my questions, and I hope you have a great rest of the weekend.
Thanks, Ricky. I appreciate the call.
Thank you, Ricky. 877-960-9960. And remember, ladies, I have $50 left right here in the studio for our next new lady caller. So give us a call. And don't forget our text number, 772-497-6530. We're going to go right back to Stu.
Okay. Anne-Marie texted us. She said, "Good morning. My car is over 6 years old, and the driver's side seatbelt doesn't retract the way it did when the car was new. Is there a simple and or inexpensive fix for this, other than just making sure to put the belt behind the seat before I close the door? Thanks for your help." Looking at you, Rick.
Really, the only fix for that is replacement. It's there's a big spring inside the seatbelt assembly, and over time that spring metal starts to lose its tension from
What's the warranty on
being wound up and released.
What's the warranty on seatbelts?
Most cars that I know are 5 years, 60,000 on seatbelts, but it may be 8 year, 80,000 on some.
Yeah, Anne-Marie, what I would recommend is that you insist, and you strike me as the type of woman that can insist. Go to your dealer and say, this is a safety-related item, and even if it's not within the warranty, I want you to fix it. And you can take it to Goodwill or you can take it to the manufacturer, but I demand that you fix my seatbelt. Safety items like that should not be held to warranty items. A safety item, they should be able to build a seatbelt that lasts for as long as the car lasts.
I agree with that, 100%. Okay, about a year ago, you guys were recommending rubbing a turnip on your headlights to prevent bugs from sticking to them. You were going to test this. I missed the follow-up to that. What happened? I think we confused our tubers.
Rick ate the turnip, and we never did it.
We're confusing our root vegetables.
I love turnips.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a potato.
Oh, potato.
And it was a windshield. And it was to create a Rain X sort of rain repellent effect. And
well, I think Rick did that, didn't
we
he?
did.
Yeah.
I honestly tried it.
And then you ate the potato after you did it.
No.
Okay.
Cooked that thing right up and chowed down. But
no, you didn't do that.
It didn't work. No, it smeared. No, potato is not the way to go.
I remember it made a real mess.
Yeah.
I think the problem is you're supposed to be using a turnip.
Well, I prefer Rain X.
Okay. That's you can't make this stuff up. Okay. Toyota makes more than half of all hybrid vehicles on the roads today. Why are they so behind when it comes to plug-in all-electric cars? That's a good question.
They made a mistake. All the manufacturers had to, make a decision years ago. Toyota made an ingenious decision in the late 90s when they said,
hybrid.
I'm going to build a hybrid. So in 1999, I think, they built the first hybrid, and everybody laughed. And I can remember the executive vice president of General Motors, name escapes me right now, saying what a foolish thing, that Prius was a joke. And suddenly Prius owned the world, and everybody said it's going to be all hybrids, Rick.
97 in Japan.
97.
The Prius got on the road.
Yeah.
But then Toyota said, okay, hybrids are going to be the name of the game forever. They got caught up in their own success, and then others started talking about all-electric vehicles. And then Toyota made another mistake and said, I know what we'll do. We'll have a fuel cell car, hydrogen fuel cell, and that didn't fly. And suddenly the world has gone to electric, and Toyota's playing catch-up.
there's a thing known as economists call the innovator's dilemma. And they have spent so much capital, so much time, invested so much in that thing that they're kind of married to that technology. And then more competitors come along and they're trying to innovate to take that market share, and you become the behemoth. The other thing is, I do believe that the board of directors on Toyota is, I'm not going to know his name, but he's known as the father of the Prius. So there might be a little, bias in there with that guy, thinking that's the direction they want to go. Papa Prius. They might be forced to innovate, though, because I also read an article that said that China, and they didn't announce what year, but very soon, is going to ban the sale of combustion-powered vehicles in China. At that point, and Toyota sells a ton of vehicles in China, they're going to be forced to come up with something for the Chinese market. So who knows? Down the road, they might be forced to get real.
There is something to be said for dictatorships, right?
Exactly. Next one. Well, another thing is also, I do believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because you read more about this stuff than I do, Toyota has like some of the highest profit margins of any manufacturer out there.
Yes.
And right now, I do know that like battery-powered electric vehicles aren't that powerful. They to keep it at a reasonable price point, they have these expensive batteries. So maybe Toyota just doesn't want to lose the money.
Actually, I wouldn't say so. Toyota has something else going for it. They really look to the long term, and a lot of manufacturers look to the 30-day cycle. Toyota looks to the 30-year cycle, but that doesn't make them always right. And they made a mistake with electric, but hey, they're catching up fast. And when you make as much money as Toyota does, they got a lot of money to play catch up.
That's right. Okay, next one says, why do you risk the employment status of salesmen at the dealerships you go into by using their names? Wouldn't pseudonyms be more appropriate?
Well, that's an interesting question, not a bad question at all. I think that we look, maybe we're being overly optimistic, we look at these mystery shopping reports as being something educational for managers and dealers who truly care about ethical, transparent operations to learn. We mystery shop our own car dealership every week, 2 or 3 times. And we find our salespeople that are doing things that we don't want them to do, and we coach them. We don't fire anybody. I mean, I guess we'd fire somebody.
We have.
We did. Yeah. That was a sexual harassment.
No, that was just a blatant lie to a customer about the Costco program.
Yeah, but we try to coach and improve, and so we hope the other dealers that listen to these mystery shopping reports will know that Charlie did something bad or Charlie did something good, and it helps him manage the company. If they doubted the veracity, the truth of the matter, they could contact us, and we would be glad to discuss it with them. But we're trying to improve the overall operation of car dealerships all over, and we're trying to make it easier for the buyers to buy. But the way to do that is to make the car dealers more user-friendly, more customer-friendly.
And in the past, we have used a pseudonym if they said something that was directly against their employer. Something like that would be probably an automatic termination.
But I understand your question. I'm not going to put you down for that question. I'll be honest with you, I feel a little bit nervous sometimes when I mention salespeople's names. I will say this, in 17 years, I know of no salesperson that I heard about ever being fired. I would think that if a salesperson were fired because we named his name, I might hear about it, but I never heard of it in 17 years on the radio.
Yeah. And if they were fired for being honest, then we would hire them.
We would hire them. Yeah. In fact, we have called salespeople who impressed us by their transparency and honesty, integrity, to see if we could hire them. Yes.
All right. Next one, this Bob in Jupiter texted us, says, can you clarify with the Costco buying program, is the entire dealer inventory a part of the program? Are only certain vehicles covered under the program? Bob from Jupiter.
Costco would like you to cover your entire inventory. There's some things about Costco we don't love, and there are certain models, high demand, low supply models that the manufacturer will come out with. And the other dealers, I'm speaking for our Toyota dealership right now, and this is how I know about this, and I am a car dealer. Because the other car dealers will hide their dealer-installed accessories and their hidden fees, they'll have multiple hidden fees, they can post a price on Costco and deceive the customer because most times when the Costco customer goes in the dealership, they don't deal with the Costco appointed representative. They don't look for the Costco price invoice that they should look for. They don't ask about the hidden fees, and they don't ask about the dealer installed accessories. So these dealers can afford to take a high demand, low supply car, advertise it at a price that that dealer knows will be enhanced by his hidden fees and his dealer installed accessories, and we cannot do that. So we hesitate sometimes to put prices on cars. We will hold cars off Costco from time to time.
Yeah, it's just if you price them a certain way, if it doesn't meet, it doesn't fall in the range that they say, it just won't appear on the site.
Yeah.
Then they'll send a threatening email to us saying your car is priced too high, and we'll make a decision at that point.
And that's a very good question, and it's something it's a negative on the Costco auto buying program because they don't fully appreciate and understand how people buy cars. They need to go and actually walk the talk and go with the consumer and just follow them through the process of trying to buy a car in the Costco auto buying program. And it is so rigorous and detailed that if you skip or trip, the dealer can take advantage of it and sell you the car way over the price.
That's right.
The Costco price.
All right, here's our last text. How do you get cigarette smoke out of a car? I bought a used Civic that smelled great when I bought it, but about a month later, the smoke smell appeared.
A difficult question. We have a sublet company that we have come in to. What do they do, Rick?
We actually use, and as crazy as this sounds, ServPro, the company that does the fire and water damage for your home repairs.
Oh.
And they will come in and basically they do like some sort of an oxidation thing in the car.
Give me the name of that company again.
ServPro, ServPro.
SERVE.
Yeah, if you have a fire in your house or a flood, they come and they clean it up. They're like, they probably do crime scenes. I don't know.
Well, anything like that.
Yeah.
But the idea is that they can clean up the messes that a lot of us don't want to touch. But yeah, cigarettes, heavy smoke in cars is that's tough. It's really hard.
When they get the smell out, does it come back, or once they get it out, it's out?
From what I've heard, once they get it out, it's gone.
What's the cost?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
We had vendors that came to the dealership. There were different, supposed technologies that they used. Like there was one, I think the name was Mr. Wizard, and there was like a fog or a mist.
I know Mr. Wizard.
Well, not the guy on the TV show. This is who, by the way, bought a car from us. He moved to Mexico, just moved back. But so Mr. Wizard had a machine that he put in the car, and it fumigated the car. Then there was, and I might be confusing them, there was another one that used like some sort of ozonator, like it was another machine that went in the car.
Servco is the one we use now.
Yeah, they're like a serious national outfit, and I think, typically, I think a dealer who actually cares about selling decent cars on their used cars, on a really bad smoke car, I hate to say it, the best way to deal with that is to send it to the auction and don't retail that car, because when it's thick, when it's really bad, it's really hard.
So you could just spray a little home.
Yeah, I think if you buy a car that's going to come back, they're perfuming it, they're using Febreze or some sort of temporary fix.
Yeah,
but I can't vouch. I don't know.
There's all sorts of tricks car dealers use when they send cars to auction, and you can, if you have an oil leak, there's stuff you could put in stop leak or something, and it'll temporarily stop it from leaking. And you can, when you talk about buyer beware, when a car dealer buys a car at auction, he has really got to know what he's doing, because it's one dealer pitted against dealer.
As long as it lasts for a day, you're good. Back when I was a used car manager, I was told you take a half of you cut an orange in half, you dip it in ground coffee, put it on a paper towel on the floor, and leave it overnight, and then it'll get rid of cigarette smoke. That don't work.
Rick, my question is in regards to the company you were talking about. Could that be? Could ServPro eliminate mold inside the car?
That's actually our number one. What we number one have them for is when you get water leaks inside the car, and the water gets down in the carpet, it starts getting that mold and mildew odor. And rather than replace the entire interior of the car, we clean up the mold and mildew, bring in ServPro, and they get rid of the odor that has worked its way into like the headliner, the seats, and the carpeting, and those cars are like brand new.
Well, we should be getting a
is that-
referral fee from Serpro. I mean, we're drumming up a lot of business.
Is
And
that
if you go directly to Serpro, it'll probably be cheaper than what we call them. We charge because we probably mark it up.
Well, we do it for in warranty cases. We have them for warranty concerns.
Rick,
And insurance.
is there an expiration date on that? Is that permanent? Do you ever have anybody come back and say to you, hey, listen, you eliminated my mold smell, but after a month, it's right back?
We haven't had anyone return with that.
No.
So it's
Okay.
it's pretty permanent.
Very
As
good.
far as we know, yeah.
I have a text, and it's from Jennifer. And Jennifer recently purchased a vehicle, and she noticed in her contract that she paid for nitrogen. And she wants to know why. Why are car dealers still doing something like this? She paid over $500 for nitrogen.
I'll
Can't
answer
she
that.
go back to the dealership and ask them to prove that they put nitrogen in her tires?
Well, nitrogen
I
was
can prove it.
proven worthless by Consumer Reports, and a lot of car dealers sell it to make a profit. They may even be. I started to say I was going to be funny. I said I can answer that, and I was going to say because they're lying, cheating thieves. But I believe there are probably car dealers that have been fooled. There's the nitrogen companies that sell nitrogen to the dealers, they've got quite a pitch, and they'll tell you that NASA uses nitrogen in their race car tires, and that
If you're
or
going
NASA
up in
and the
space,
shuttle,
yeah.
and then NADA or the race cars, airplanes that fly at high altitudes have nitrogen in the tires. They really do a good selling thing. The point is that for the use of an automobile driving on the highways, nitrogen is worthless, and Consumer Reports has proven that, and that's all I need to say.
Yeah, and you can even go to Costco, and that's their way to get you right back. And I believe, 25 cents that they charge?
Costco probably believes that nitrogen is a good thing, and they're wrong. But that's okay. I mean, but we advise all the people that listen to Earl on Cars, do not buy nitrogen, certainly for $500.
Because you already have nitrogen in your
Yeah,
tires.
78% of the
we
air
got
you
it in
breathe,
the air.
that goes into your tires is nitrogen. So
78%.
it's silly to pay for it.
Yeah. Jennifer, sorry for that. I can advise you that maybe going back to the dealership and arguing your case, you may be able to get, some of that money back. I'm not quite sure. But good luck and stay in touch. Give us a call toll free at 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. I think we're going to go to Rick now. He's got a few response on YouTube.
I've got one from Guy Larrabee from YouTube. He says, the only reason we have airbags is because people were negligent putting on their 3-point seat belts. Why not delete the airbags completely? And Guy, the best answer is that airbags were originally intended to be used in conjunction with the seat belts, not as a replacement. And even today, you are warned, if you do not wear a seatbelt, airbags can actually become more dangerous than good. So, folks, keep the airbags in your car, but always, always wear your seatbelt when you're driving the car.
Yeah, I don't think today's modern airbags, especially you described the airbags in the most advanced cars today, multiple airbags. I think you said my Lexus had 13 airbags or something like that. The safety of those airbags is so far beyond the safety of a seatbelt. Seatbelt is a dinosaur. It has to be used in conjunction. They're designed to be used in conjunction. But if you were in a car today with just seat belts and no airbags, and you were in a serious accident, there would be no comparison. You'd be deader than a doornail without the airbags.
Yeah, some of the airbags are just designed to prevent injury, like the knee airbag. I mean, you could live but have both your legs broken, even with the seatbelt on.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, this might be a follow-up from what we were talking about earlier. This is from Kevin in Chicago. It says, hello, Earl. How do I retain the new car scent in my vehicle forever? Forever.
Forever.
Nothing lasts forever,
Nothing
Kevin.
lasts forever.
Well, you could probably get freshly injection molded plastic things to put in your car and just breathe the off-gassing.
You know, I read somewhere, here's something for you Googlers out there. I read somewhere that the new car scent was dangerous. Yeah, toxic.
Well, that's what I was kidding around. But whenever you have a freshly molded plastics and polyesters and all the stuff that's
the fabrics and the carpeting.
Yeah, it's some people get headaches from it. Some people associate it with a new car and the emotional experience of buying a car, so they like it. You can buy a spray, I think, like at Pet Boys, right? Some kind of.
And do you remember Scotch Guard?
Yeah, aka Toyo Guard.
Remember, don't they still have Scotch Guard?
Well, yeah, but
Change
the original
formula.
Scotch Guard product, as I recall it, when you put that on seats, it would almost get a nutty smell, and it was very odd, but.
Yeah. I drink a Scotch that has a nutty smell.
Yeah, the Macallan. It's a PD nice. All right.
Yes.
Okay, we digress. Yes, you can get a spray. You can buy a car every other year. Those are the ways you can have that smell forever, but it's probably not good for you. Jonathan in Wellington asks, what is the incentive for a salesperson to be a Costco representative for a particular dealership?
Well, that's a very good question, and it's funny, you know. The reason I love callers and texters because they make me think. The profit on a Costco deal is virtually nil. The prices are so good, and Costco hammers the dealers to keep the prices down, and they actually bring them down to in the net effect, and I use the word specifically net effect, a losing proposition. Mm-hmm. If a car dealer makes $500 on a car in what we call gross profit, I'm talking inside talk now, gross profit, that dealer lost money, net profit. And if he continue to sell those cars making only $500, he would go out of business. Because he has overhead. He has semi-fixed and fixed expenses that would actually cause him to go bankrupt. So he has to sell the cars for more money. Costco dictates to the car dealers that they sell a car at such a low price that the salesman doesn't make a very good commission on them. They probably are paid by the dealer what we call a flat commission. Instead, if I sold a car to Rick and Rick was a layaway and he comes into the dealership and I sold him a car, I can make easily, not always easily, but sometimes I might make $4,000 on that car. And if I sell Rick a car and I make a $4,000 profit, I'm a salesman. I get 25% of that. I make $1,000 when I sell Rick a car. $1,000. Now, if Rick comes in and buys a car on the Costco program and I stick to the rules, then I might make a flat amount. It could be $100. If they were very generous, $150, maybe only $50. So I don't want to sell that car to Rick because I'm making so little. I might even, if I were a Costco salesman, I might even try to not go through with the program. And if I certainly was not a Costco identified representative, I would definitely not go along with the program. So these are all the realities of the Costco auto buying program that Costco appears to be unaware of. So you have to be so totally rigorous when you go through the process. I didn't mean to get carried away there, but it was a great question. Costco salespeople, representatives, don't make enough money when they sell a car to a Costco member.
Typically, like when we mystery shop, the Costco representative isn't like a typical floor, like the salesperson you see waiting out front of the showroom. They're in the internet sales department, or they call the BDC, which is the business development center, where they're looking for found business. I guess just trying to drive volume. So I guess that's part of the whole.
That's part of it, but the Costco rule says, and if the dealer adheres to the rules, which they don't, but if the dealer adheres to the rules, Costco requires that they sell the car at a lower price than they do to anyone else. So even if you're an internet salesperson, the profit that you make normally to a non-Costco member is greater than the amount that you make to a Costco person. So there could be a tendency to compensate the salesperson less, even on an internet sale.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even at dealerships that pay on a commission will have like volume bonuses, so maybe that's an incentive. Like, well, it's just they call it a mini, and they might not make much money, but it counts to another bonus.
Yep.
All right, here's a really good one. I can't wait on this one.
Okay.
This one's too good. In 1985, you ripped off my mother when she bought a Grand Am. I came and asked you to give her a break and take the car back. You refused to come downstairs and speak with me. That's what the lady said.
That's the reason I'm a recovering car dealer. I remember your mother.
No,
I'm
you
only
don't.
kidding.
No, you don't.
I'm only kidding. No, shamefully, I probably did. And I say I don't think it was me personally, but it was my dealership, Stewart Pontiac in South Dixie Highway. And I did business the old-fashioned way. And when I sold cars the old-fashioned way, it was to make as much money on every car as I could. And if customer A came in and I could make a $2,000 profit, I would do it. If customer B came in on the same car, if I could make a $4,000 profit, I would do it. We made a lot of money on some people and very little money on other people. That's the absurdity of the old way that car dealers do business today. And your mother could have been one that we made a lot of money on because she wasn't able to fend for herself and understand what was happening. And my salesperson probably made as much money as he could when he sold her the car, and that's what he gets paid for. I probably patted him on the back and maybe even gave him a plaque. We had a plaque that we would give to our salespeople. It was called a slam dunk. Is that what it was called, Stu?
That was a slam dunk. Yep.
A slam dunk.
$4,000
If
gross
we
profit.
if we made $4,000 on a customer, that was a.
Well, hold on. There's more to it. That's on the front end. That's on the sale. That didn't count the
that's
money
just
you made it in the box.
Exactly,
Right.
in the box. And we made more in the box. So I sinned, forgive me, and I don't do it anymore. And I was not a good person in my mind.
I recall the stairs, and they definitely have been demolished.
Yes.
So we all apologize for that way of selling cars.
Yes.
We're going to go to Jessica, and Stu, did you have another?
No.
So, okay.
No,
Okay.
Later.
Jessica is asking, how can I get the best deal on a car loan? Well, I'll answer that first, Jessica, and I would suggest to you that you apply to multiple lenders. And that would be your local bank, your credit union, and this here will, put you ahead of the game, and then you can move on from there and contact some other sources. Now I'll turn it over to the recovering car dealer.
That's exactly the right answer. And the bank that you do business with personally, I mean, your checking account, your savings account, they're generally a good bank to always get a loan from. And then your credit union, even if you are not a member of a credit union, you can join a credit union. Credit unions typically have lower rates on financing than banks do. I'd get maybe one or two more, absolutely. Once in a great while, a car dealer will have a better deal than the credit union or the bank once in a great while. That's when the manufacturer has an incentivized special low interest rate. And you see these advertised as 0% financing or 1% or something like that. And when that happens, and it's sponsored by the manufacturer, it is a legitimate deal. And the only time I would offer to finance with the dealer is when I had incentivized financing.
Also, I'll add to this, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but go for a 4-year loan or less, no more than that. You're going to get yourself into high cotton if you do.
That's right. Also, be aware when you have 0% manufacturer financing, that opens up an opportunity. They put a harder sell on you. Well, you're not paying any interest. You got to buy the warranty. Well, it's just a yeah.
And the most important thing when you're purchasing a car, please buy something that you know you can afford. Not just today, but for the future, because that loan, 4 years, I want to tell you, you've got to be sure you purchase the right car and it's within your means. A lot of people make that mistake. I hope I answered your question, and we are going to go to Bob, who's been holding, and he's calling from Minnesota.
Hey, Bob, what's up in Minnesota? other than snow?
Yes.
Very, very cold. I
Yes.
bet.
Cold this week, below zero. So we're waiting for it.
Wow.
Got a question on Toyota Highlander 2020. I was told it was supposed to be coming out to dealerships in December, and I've seen nothing of it. I'm just wondering, are they oversupplied on the 19th? Is that why, or is there a problem with the vehicle?
No, there's not a problem with the vehicle. I think the first allocations are happening now, so they're inbound. So it will probably be later this month when we see the first ones. I don't think the hybrid will come a little bit later, but as far as I know, there's no delay. And if they have a launch planned, it doesn't matter how many remaining 2019 models. They'll incentivize those more. There'll be more bigger rebates and better financing things, but they're still coming.
And how long do I have to wait in order to get a special deal on the car? High at the beginning, of course. And are you talking 3 months before they get the prices down a little bit? Or?
Well, I'm going to ape Earl's advice. I think wait. That's what I'm going to suggest, especially because it's a complete redesign, and so some of the issues will be shaped.
His question was, how long should he wait?
Oh, well, I'll let you answer that.
No, I would say conservatively 30 days, but I would start looking right away, and I would use online searches and check prices online with other dealers. You'd be surprised how quickly they do discount cars. Some vehicles, some dealers will discount cars sooner than others.
Yeah.
Larger dealers typically that have a larger supply allocation will tend to discount them more sometimes than the small dealers. I've only got one Highlander. I'm not going to discount it, but I've got 10, then I might discount a couple of them. But online, and just keep on checking. Look at the Costco, look at the true car price, and you'll know when. It'll probably be no longer than 30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a user of YouTube quite a bit for research, and they have a lot of people reviewing vehicles.
Yeah.
You usually get these ahead of time, and there's been no discussion about the Highlander, so that's what I was wondering, too, because they get them before we see them, so...
It's always a good idea to get a few people that have had experience with them, because the new models, when something comes out, there's bugs in them, and whether it's a Toyota or a Chevrolet, and Consumer Reports advises that you don't buy a car when there's a major changeover in the model. Wait till the next year. Wait for the 2021. But a lot of people just like to have the new model, but you are going to have a greater risk of bugs.
Well, very good. I appreciate your program, and I enjoyed it very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. Stay
Thanks,
warm.
Bob.
It looks like the soonest ones were about 11 days out before the first ones.
11 days, yeah. Okay, where are we on? How about anonymous feedback? Have we had any of those?
Just the 3 earlier this morning, and so we're caught up on text and everything.
I thought there was an older anonymous feedback that. Did you?
I'm going to see if I can find one.
You'll look back. I think it was one after the show last week.
Okay, we're going to go to Mary Elizabeth from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she asks how often she should check the pressure in her tires. Well, that is a pet peeve of mine, and Mary Elizabeth, I check the pressure in my tires a lot. I check it, well, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. That might be a little bit too much, but you'd be surprised. That maintenance on your tires, it means so much in the time, the longevity of your tires, the amount of gas that you use. There is so many reasons to check the pressure in your tires, and I'll turn this over to Rick.
You hit it on the head. The cost of gasoline that you'll save, plus the cost of the tires by making your tires last longer. Tires are expensive, and so saving that money where you can, and it only takes a few minutes to check your tire pressures and bump them up and keep them where they ought to be.
Yeah.
I recommend at least twice a month.
Oh, okay, great. And also, I stay away from gas stations. I don't really, there's so much traffic in the gas station, and they use these pumps, air pressure pumps, and I really don't think that there is good to use as your own.
Well, buy
pressure.
a good quality pressure gauge, tire pressure gauge, a good high quality one. Use that gasoline pump or whoever to put air in it, fill it up quite a ways, and then just bring it back down using your gauge to make sure you get it to the level you want.
Great idea. Hope we helped you.
I have a question for the auto manufacturers of the world. Why in this high-tech 21st century haven't you come up with a way where we don't have to crawl around on our hands and knees and measure the pressure in our tires and then stand in line somewhere to get something to put air in our tires? Why don't you come up with a damn tire that doesn't need to have air added all the time, or if it does, have it where the air is added automatically from the car? There's air all over the place, and you just take the air, you compress it, stick it in the tire. There's got to be a way, and people will pay for anything, right? If I'm buying a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, start out with Rolls Royce. I mean, add an extra $100,000. I don't, if I'm going to buy if I'm going to pay $500,000 for a Bentley, I'll pay $600,000, and I'll never have to add air.
Rick knows.
One of the things that they're working on right now are airless tires,
Mars
where it's
rover
actually
tires.
going to be a honeycomb pattern inside.
Yeah.
And these tires, actually, this is the part I love.
Yeah.
Instead of taking that tire off and throwing it in a pile for junk, they'll take that tire off, send it back to simply have more material added, 3D printed right back on it, and then re-grooved and put right back on another car.
But will the ride be smooth?
That's the part they're working on with that honeycomb
and different
pattern.
people like different kind of rides. You can, depending on the tire you buy with. Anyway, it's just, to me, convenience, user friendly. Build it, and they will come.
This is where we solve all the problems of the auto industry.
If we had the manufacturers listening to us, but they don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
We should call this the think tank.
Okay, one more tip, Mary Elizabeth, that I find helpful is that you check the pressure of your tires when they're cold. That's number one. And please check all 4 tires. I hope that we helped you out today.
Okay.
All 5 tires.
If you have a spare.
Don't forget the spare.
Well, they're getting rarer, more and more rare. I got a text that just came in. It's an update from last week, actually from October. Update on the 2018 RAV4 with the tires wearing unevenly. After fighting with the dealer for 2 months, they finally agreed to put 4 new tires and check the alignment for free.
Wow.
The alignment was off by a lot in the front.
Round of applause.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Success story.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have closed our lines just in case you're trying to call because we have the mystery shopping report coming up.
But you can still text.
Yeah.
And you can expect to hear from the mystery shop of Toyota of Hollywood.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that. And also, don't forget that you can read Earl's latest column, Competition, Car Dealers' Achilles Heel, and so many more columns.
Unless you're reading Florida Weekly.
That you can check out in the Hometown News. And we've got the Florida Weekly and the latest column there, Word Track for No Hassle, No Haggle, Car Buying. So pick those 2 up or go to Earl on Cars and you can find all the columns that he's written and so many tips. It's all free.
Okay, Mystery Shop of Toyota of Hollywood. I just want to say, because I know people tune in, we have new people. Mystery Shop, unique in the world. We go into car dealerships, been doing it for 17 years, pretend to buy, lease a car. On an advertisement, sometimes we're checking them on Ducati airbag replacements and things of this nature. We name names, we name car dealerships. We don't get sued because we tell the truth. And here we go. And the car dealers hate us for this, but they should learn from this. Now, this is a unique shopping report because Craig Zinn is a friend of Stu's and mine, and Nancy's, and we've been on trips together. We know Craig. We like Craig. He's an amazing guy. Yeah. He has several dealerships. But anyway, in full transparency, we do know this guy, and this does not dissuade us from telling the truth. And Craig, if you're listening, you ought to listen because you're going to hear some things that you're not going to like. But you know us, I believe, to know that we are telling you the truth. And when you have multiple dealerships, you can't always be in the trenches and know what's going on and what everybody's doing and saying, and that's what it's all about. It's like the hokey pokey. Right foot in.
Sure.
Toyota Hollywood wants to be the biggest Toyota dealership in the world. At the rate they're growing, they just may achieve that goal. I'm not kidding. This is kind of exciting to have the second largest Toyota dealership in the world in South Florida, and that is Toyota Hollywood. They're real close to Miami. You know where Hollywood is. It's huge metro area there. And only Longo Toyota in Los Angeles region sells more new Toyotas than Toyota of Hollywood. Last year, listen to this. I mean, folks, this is big.
Yeah.
Last year, the score was for the full year, 2018.
Correct.
14,406 vehicles were sold by Longo. 14,000.
Yeah.
406 new Toyotas. That's over 1,000, well over 1,000 vehicles a month.
Yeah, that's just new.
Yeah, new. That's new cars. Hollywood, this is Craig's Inn store that we mystery shopped yesterday, 9,465. So he's closing fast. Hollywood's closing, they're closing very fast. Its 2018 sales were up 20%.
Yeah, 19.9%.
Yeah.
I double-checked the math.
Unbelievable. Longo sales, Longo losing ground. They were down 5%. I started to digress into a story about Longo Toyota. They were one of the first Toyota dealerships. They started by Dominic Longo. Google Dominic Longo if you want to laugh. He was a very interesting man. It's no longer owned by Longo. It's owned